So, as you know, today I'm going to talk about Stimulus.js framework. So let's get started. Let's get started by answering the question, what is Stimulus.js? So Stimulus is a JavaScript framework created by the founders of Basecamp. You can think of it as an easy way to introduce JavaScript to your application in a reusable and approachable way to manipulate the HTML you already have, while it won't take over the web as React or Vue have. So let's take a look at the basic example from the documentation. Here, the HTML markup is accompanied by the JavaScript controller. And also here you can see three main concepts that Stimulus.js consists of: controller, target, and action. So let's take a look at them one by one. So Stimulus works by continuously monitoring the page, waiting for the data controller attribute to appear, and enables the functionality inside. So this way, the functionality described in the hello controller will only work inside of the wrapper that contains the data controller attribute with hello identifier assigned. So you can think of it like this. The same way the class is a bridge connecting HTML and CSS, data controller is a bridge connecting HTML to JavaScript. So in the example here, data controller with hello value, declaration on the containing div element, this div acts as a wrapper around all the logic described in the hello controller. To any given element, you can also add as many controllers as you want. In the example, the div has two connected controllers, clipboard and list item. And similarly, you can have the same controller class for multiple elements on the page. So here, each list element has its own instance of the list item controller. Targets let you reference important elements by name. First, you choose a name for each target and list them in the target static array of your controller. Then you add data target attributes to each targeted element within the context of the data controller, or whatever you call it. Targets are namespace with a dot notation by the parent level controller name. So here we see the hello dot name, the controller's name, and the target. For each targeted element defined in a static targets array, Stimulus adds the following properties to your controller. So to access the name target, you go this name target, and to access the output, you go this output target. While the basic use case is one target for one HTML element, you actually can have one target for multiple HTML elements, like this. So you then can access them through the array list.name targets, the plural form. And also you can check if there is a matching target by calling list.has name target. So no more of these query selectors or whatever you use. You can do it a simpler way, just like that. Next are actions. Stimulus uses data action attribute to define which function of the controller will be run. So using syntax event arrow controller hash function, anyone reading the HTML will be able to see what it does. So in the example, when the button fires a click event, the greet function of the hello controller will be run. So this function will run on the click. To listen to window or document events such as resizing or the user going offline, you'll need to append at window or at document to the event type. So for example, resize app window arrow gallery hash layout will call the function layout on the gallery controller when the window is resized. It's also common to any given element to have many actions. For example, the following input calls field controller's highlight function when it gains focus, and search controller's update function every time the element's value changes. So as you can see, you don't need to add any listeners or remove any listeners. You can just do it by using just clear HTML. So combining controllers, targets, and actions, you get fully modular pattern for working with JavaScript. This removes the necessary setup and sometimes the spaghetti-like code the traditional JavaScript is known for. There are more interesting things to unpack, but let's have a look at two more. As your, as your application grows, you'll probably need to hook into LIFECYCLE events to set defaults, fetch data, or excuse me, handle real-time communications. So Stimulus has three built-in functions: initialize, connect, and disconnect. So if you ever used jQuery and turbolinks together, you'll be happy to note that there is no more of these listeners. All the code can go inside of those functions I've just showed you, and Stimulus will take care of these listeners. Yeah. Next are data maps. Adding additional custom data attributes to your controller code may be necessary as your logic starts to require it. At the parent controller level, you can declare new data attribute for use within your controller. So by using this data property, you can access the string value of the metadata attribute, check if the attribute exists, set it, or remove it. So now let's take a look at the remaining characters counterexample I've created using some of the previously mentioned things. Here we have a remaining characters controller that counts the number of characters in the text area. So like this. So as you can see, the characters left count changes when I'm typing or removing something. And also you have a limitation and you can type more than 100 characters. So I'm typing something and I can't anymore. So what it does here, it basically sets, this controller sets the max value of characters left 700 here, and max length attribute of the text area here, so you can type more than 100 characters. Now if you look at the HTML code, we see data controller remaining characters wrapper. For Stimulus framework to count characters from the given input, we need to tell first from which input to pull the value. We can do this by setting the target attribute in the input with the following value: remaining characters message. The value consists of two parts: the name of the target message and the name of the controller. It's also important to have the target present among the static targets array in the controller. Next, to assign the given action to the given element, In our view, we have to use data action attribute. It's here. Here we have data action key of pair of remaining characters hash update counter. So what do we have here? Now we have three values: key, the name of the event; remaining characters, the name of the controller; and update counter, the name of the function which will be run, which is this one. You can also see the data target attribute on the span element. We use it to set the value 100 here. And we do it in the connect function. So when the controller connects to the DOM, these two functions run. First one sets the max length attribute of this text area, and another one sets the 100 to the characters left span. And where do we get this 100? We get it out of the data remaining characters max length attribute with value 100 assigned to it. So yeah, basically this is it from the example. You can see the targets, you can see how do we use the connect function, the targets and controller, and get back to the presentation. If you want to get into more details about stimulus, they have a documentation that's clear and easy to digest. An hour of reading it is enough to understand how to utilize it properly. Here I just wanted to introduce you to something you may be interested in, especially if you're a person that spends a lot of time working on backend but wanting to add some sparkles to your pages. Stimulus also has the same concept of controllers and actions within Rails app, and it goes well with it, so maybe you can also like it. Also, some people describe Stimulus as filling most of the gaps between Rails and JS. The developers might use the React to fill, but without the heavier obligations of React. So if you like the Stimulus and you want to try it out, you can go and look for the documentation in handbook, which I've just told you about, the Stimulus cheat sheet. If you don't want to read the whole documentation, but want to just get the basic things on one page. The source code, if you want to dig into it yourself and see how it works. And there is a Better Stimulus website, which has best practices of how you can use Stimulus in a better way. So yeah, this is kind of short, but thank you a lot for coming and seeing this. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.